And I think we're always stronger as a result of we've had some pretty large fights. And like I do think
fun. Like I've never shouted louder in a way that I'm terrible.
I can't believe my voice can do that.
Can I say?
Yeah.
There's no one better that I would shout at than you.
No, because I can go toe to toe. Like it's bad. It's like a feral.
We have one blowout every like 2 years. So that's it's not like
I don't look forward to them.
No, me
It's
neither.
like I hate it. In fact, it usually is within the same conversation that we're then crying. Like, why do you do this?
Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed and Progressive Insurance.
Hello.
Craig Robinson, what's going on?
Michelle Obama, not too much.
Yeah.
It's great to see you.
It's good to see you too. You're looking good. Your sharp shirt.
You like this shirt? I've gotten some compliments on this shirt. I'm very happy. Kelly will be very happy with us.
She's doing right by you. Thank God for Kelly.
Yes, thank God for her. Thank God for her. I'd be in sweats if it wasn't.
So you're enjoying your time in DC?
I am.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the weather has been wonderful.
That's the thing.
And it's been walkable. And you know, I
have you been walking?
I left my Airbnb the last couple of days and walked around. I'm in a nice residential neighborhood that's very close to a bunch of restaurants and coffee shops and
have you gone out
libraries.
To get coffee? Did you go to the library? What are you doing when you're walking around? Are you just walking around?
Just walking around, just getting my steps in.
Did you make any friends?
You know, my sister is being funny because people tend to talk to me when I walk around and they look at me and they say, boy, you look familiar. And I was like, oh no, I get that all the time.
Did you get that on your walk
today? I got that on my walks. Well, I'm in Washington, D.C.
That's what I'm wondering. I'm just wondering what it's like for you walking around your little Airbnb community.
It's been a really neat neighborhood. And
did you make breakfast today for yourself?
I did. I made yogurt and I have a bunch of fruit.
You know you don't make yogurt. You open yogurt.
Well, I open yogurt and I put the fruit in the yogurt.
Okay. From your stockpile?
From my stockpile of fruit. See, and this is something you couldn't do if you were staying at a hotel. You'd have to just go downstairs and buy it in the cup. And it'd be crunchy.
You couldn't make it on your own as you have done.
And I'm enjoying making my own breakfast. You know what I should have gotten was a little bit of granola to put in there to make it a little crunchy because
you didn't order that.
I didn't
put that
order
on
that.
your Airbnb list.
I didn't put that on my list.
Well, anyway, it's good to have you in our fair city.
It is good to be here.
We got a good show.
I am
looking
so
forward
excited.
to this.
Listen, I'm so excited. I have goosebumps, and it's not because it's cold in here. And so you'll love this. So I'm coming in this morning, and Kelly texts me. Austin, who's our 15-year-old, says, please tell Bowen Yang that Aaron and I are fans of his. Now, they're 15 and 13, and so they're just at the age where they can watch Saturday Night Live.
Okay, all right. Because they're strict parents.
We are strict parents. It's like, we are strict parents. There's bedtimes even on Saturday.
Malia had to convince them to start watching R-rated movies because
if it wasn't for Malia, we'd still be watching PG-13.
You know, Toy Story 2. And
yes.
You know.
Yes.
Malia was just like, you can't go out like that, dude. You're in high school. You got to get a little Chucky or something, you know. Friday the 13th.
So we have with us today Bowen Yang
we digress.
and Matt ROGERS.
Yes.
And I, you know,
podcast pros. We're going to bow down. I mean, we are neophytes.
We don't know what we're doing compared to these dudes.
We're going to learn. We're going to get schooled in how it's done. I'm so excited. I'm fans of both of them. They are hilarious. They are at the heart of culture, which you know nothing about.
I don't know. They're going to have to help me out.
We're going to
become cool.
We're going to help my brother out. Bowen and Matt, come on out so we can school my brother on.
Oh my gosh! Good to see you. I have a cereal hack for your brother.
Okay.
I'm gonna teach him about some cereal.
A cereal
I have a cereal hack for you.
You have one for me?
Yes.
Oh, great.
It's so good to see you guys. Thank you.
To say it's an honor to be here is the understatement of the century.
Truly.
Oh my God.
We are honored.
Yeah.
Well, you're not neophytes, that's for sure.
We are. I mean, it hasn't even been a year.
You're good at this.
No, but it's already so established. And this is the only thing you need to say to sound like you're a podcasting pro. Ready?
Okay.
And you're going to agree with me on this.
Mm-hmm.
Just if you talk to like someone like on like the sound crew, you just go, do you want me down the axis? Like, do you want me down the axis?
Down the axis. Wait, by the way, you're all crushing it.
Down
You're all
the axis.
We're down the axis.
So what is that?
This is the axis of the microphone.
This is the axis.
And then you just want to direct the sound downward.
Oh, wow.
This is also Bowen's scientific background.
Why didn't you all tell us about down the axis?
Nobody mentioned the axis to us.
It's like, we're just talking. Right?
Might be something that I made up.
Wait,
who knows?
So that's Bowen's advice. That's very Bowen. And here's my advice to you. Here's a cereal hack for your breakfast preparation. Raisin Bran, but you cut up strawberries and put it in the Raisin Bran.
Like
or that's
Honey
deep.
Nut Cheerios, strawberries, bananas, raisins. You're going to love the way you look. I guarantee it.
Wow, it's just like, ooh, that's didn't wouldn't have thought of that.
I'm already a Raisin Bran guy.
I was waiting for something deep.
Yep. That's deep.
Is that deep? Really? Putting extra fruit in a fruit-based cereal?
I mean, but here's the thing.
More fruit.
Imagine that.
But if he thinks there's a way to make yogurt,
I
was
know,
like,
guess,
I see him.
It's
I was like, no, he's me.
He's like, I made breakfast.
Thank you.
I made some yogurt. It's
Thank
like,
you.
did you really?
I thought you were going to say the only sentence you really need to know as a podcaster is listen wherever you get your podcast.
That's a good
the
one.
way they all wrap up.
Wherever you get your podcast. Yes, that we do. We do that. We do that. Sometimes I forget to do that when I'm on other people's shows, but I'm going to get that down. So tell our listeners about Las Culturistas. How do you say it?
We say it Las Culturistas, and we sometimes will put some verve into it.
You know, it really was just like fashionistas or Maxinistas.
Okay.
And so that's really where it came from.
Culturistas. Okay, why didn't I pick that up?
No.
You know?
Well, this is in 2016 when we started it.
Yeah,
I think that the one thing we were positive is that no one would listen to it. When we started in 90, I mean, am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong at all.
Bowen said, should we do a podcast? I was like, yeah, that's a fun idea. We just started talking to each other. I remember we looked at the initial metrics, like in the, first couple months we had been doing the podcast, and we were blown away because 60 people were listening.
It's like,
we were like,
we're on to something.
Just a couple people. And that was fine for us. And then, 9.5, I guess soon we're going to be saying 10 years later.
Wild.
Become the reason for everything else.
Yeah. But it's different talking to 60 people, right? I mean, because when it's just 60 people, then you're really letting go.
If you really sat and thought about how many people are actually listening when you're doing a podcast, you might totally change the way you do it, which is the death of any authenticity on the podcast. You know what I mean? Did I get
I just thought of that.
But here's something that I do to avoid that. I don't listen to our podcast. Right? I count on, we have a team of people. He listens to it, but I don't listen to my interviews. I don't watch my speeches. I don't read my articles because I will start self-filtering. I'll say, I'll think more about, am I slouching? Did I say that? I said too much. I don't want to self-edit in that way. And if I hear myself, I don't even like my own voice. So
really?
Yeah. So that's
I don't like it either.
Isn't it funny? It's a funny thing with your own voice, right? Because I've had a journey with it. Now I guess I can understand what it can do. But you know what's funny? It was because of podcasting and even just being on a mic that I learned how to do voiceover acting. I released an album and it taught me how to become a better singer, all because of weirdly podcasting.
Really?
Like just actually learning how to talk on a mic.
Really?
It was a weird thing, but it was an education.
When you guys started, this wasn't a thing.
No.
So how did you know, let's do a podcast?
Really?
Let's do a podcast.
It was kind of just like offered to us in this very wonderful, scrappy way. This podcast network that's still thriving called Forever Dog. We started with and we're with for several years. but it was just like, hey, like, we're just reaching out to a bunch of comedians in New York because we're a bunch of comedians in New York starting this podcast network. Do you want to do something? And we're like, sure.
Cool.
And we had all these different concepts and pitches for it. And then Matt was very smart and thinking, let's just do the lowest lift. And the lowest lift was the two of us
just
being ourselves talking. Like I had ideas of like fictional, like scripted things where it was like choose your own adventure. It was like so convoluted. And then Matt was like, no, we're going to keep it very lo-fi. And that is kind of, anytime anyone asks us, like, how do you keep it going for so long? I'm just like, it's because we picked the lowest effort possible idea.
But I think because we put ourselves into it and we put identity into it and there was an authenticity to what we were doing, maybe that's why it's a notable podcast segment when really it's being done a lot.
Well, and let's, this is where I want to educate my brother and even my husband who will be listening. Culture is king.
Culture is
king. Mean, the truth is like they razz me about my love of reality TV and the Real Housewives. I watch it all.
You watch it all?
All of it,
Love.
I mean, the Jen, the New York Jen babies.
Next Gen NYC.
Yes.
You watched Next Gen NYC.
I watched the first 2 episodes.
Yeah,
and I'm just like, they're starting the babies off early. Oh my God.
What are they actual babies?
So they're children of housewives and like of Bravo celebrities, we call them.
They're really like the princes and princesses of Bravo, now seeing if they're worth their salt when the camera's faced on them.
And they've been on the screen. It's like Austin and Aaron at 7. They were babies being shot, and now they're in New York.
I think there's legislation that's being written about that. No, it is really tricky to watch.
It is.
Yeah,
it is. But it's juice. It's
juice.
It's tea.
But culture is king, and even though you're razzed for your reality tastes, like it's still. We like to think of it as like. People are like, oh, you guys balance high-low so well, but it's all horizontal to us. It's all the same.
Yeah. It's all a sociological study. I was a social major, and so were you.
I was.
Now, they think that sports is better reality TV. I was like, it's the same thing.
Pretty much.
This is what I've heard, though, about sports. And I would love to know more about athletics in general.
My dad was a varsity football and baseball coach for 40 years and a phys ed teacher. So growing up, like I was an athlete kind of by necessity, in my own head at the time, because I, of course, who doesn't want to impress their dad and stuff. But I credit a lot of the reason why I have a work ethic, why I know what it is to hit deadlines, why I know what it is to know how to rehearse, even as a performer, all to sports. So it's that in terms of sports culture, like I was like a late 90s Mets super freak, super fan.
Yeah.
But those things like that is,
But there's drama in sports.
There's so much drama.
Yeah,
that's right.
If I listen to ESPN for an hour, it's like watching the Real Housewives of Atlanta.
Absolutely.
It's the same drama, and they're yelling at each other, and they don't get along. Stephen A. Smith, he's just like every other
he'd
talk
be a
show
great
host.
Real Housewife.
He would be.
Right.
It would be amazing.
So that's why I'm like, what's the difference? It's just, it's just sociological drama. I mean, the fact that people over seasons of working together still can't get along.
Right.
They still have the same arguments, and it's not just women, but this happens in sports too.
Right.
I find it fascinating.
It is.
It's just like, why do you keep going to dinner together?
Yeah.
It never ends well. And don't ever vacation with her ever again.
It's gonna be an unfair reason why she deserves the best room.
And why can't we figure out this room thing?
Why can't we figure out rooms? This is something that you just figure out in your 20s and your 30s as you start traveling with your friends. But the thing that sports has that I think reality TV doesn't is like numbers. Like what I find fascinating about sports and my unfamiliarity with it is that it is really, really something, and it's really cool that you get to like look at stats and you get to compare that way. That's part of the storytelling. And I wish Housewives had that.
What, some stats?
Some numbers.
You know what though?
Was more
The number of fights.
You notice that like they'll on Instagram, they'll release the seating chart for the reunions. So at the end of every Housewives season, there's a reunion.
Oh, yeah.
And basically, it is kind of a little bit of a caste system because if you're sitting next to Andy, that kind of means you won.
Andy Cohen, by the
Cohen.
way.
Andy Cohen.
He's usually the host
I
of
know
reunions.
you.
And you have to.
And it kind of is interesting because
It's like a ranking.
You
you
see
know?
people talking about it like, oh, she's in the 1 spot, she's in the 2 spot. Like, look at her all the way in no man's land at the end of the couch.
Good point. Yes.
Okay.
So it does kind of have that.
There's
There is something in all
right.
fandom that is wanting to quantify the way someone is doing.
Well, tell us about the Culture Awards.
Yes.
You guys are growing up big time.
Congratulations,
Thank
by the
you.
way.
Like all on Bravo. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, great segue.
Big boys.
We have been doing this fake award show, as is the best way to describe it, for several years now, live in New York. And we did Lincoln Center and then went to King's Theater in Brooklyn, which was beautiful last year. And yeah, we're on Bravo and we're on Peacock the next day on August 5th. And it started out as, again, like this low stakes bit on the podcast. We're like, we should throw our own award show where the categories are like the Eva Longoria Award for Tiny Woman Biggest Impact. Like these dumb categories.
Most amazing impact in film. And the nominees are like, I don't know, one of them is Jeff Goldblum's chest in Jurassic Park. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So basically it's just, but then we also have like record of the year. And sometimes it's a little earnest. So it is a really good example, I think, of what has made our podcast successful is that we just follow the fun.
Yeah.
And I really think that people could give themselves a gift by just saying that sentence a little bit more, just even in the day-to-day things, just like what feels good, what feels fun.
Yeah, we need it now more than ever.
And I think that with the Culture Awards, it's like what's fun about it is, you know, this probably won't happen, but Meryl Streep could walk out, and so could Meredith Marks from Salt Lake City Housewives. Right. You'll look that up later. She's a good one to know.
I'll explain it over lunch.
And there's a Salt Lake City. Huh?
Oh, she's from Salt Lake City. Yeah.
Housewives.
That's the number 1 spot.
Yeah.
The Salt Lake City Housewives are really the best.
Well, because you're dealing with Mormonism and a whole lot of subculture.
Felons.
Yeah, one of them went to jail. There have been several imprisonments.
There was one
there have been
arrest
several
while
convictions.
they were filming.
Yes.
Yeah, this is the
in
one we're
Salt
talking
Lake
about.
City.
And
for
now
money laundering.
She's in the same
See what I'm
women's prison
saying?
as Elizabeth Holmes.
No.
Yes, and they're best
I
buds.
missed that.
Best.
I know who Elizabeth Holmes is.
The Theranos.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Theranos. Yes.
How?
So
they're going to come.
And they're buds.
They're going to come out.
Yep.
It could be
They're
dangerous.
gonna come out
And they're gonna take over the world.
They're gonna be
Their
shaking
powers
folks when
combined.
they get out.
Because here's the truth of it. I'd watch that show.
I
would watch that show.
And you would too.
I would
Craig.
watch that
See,
show,
he just
yes.
doesn't know what it is.
I don't.
Yeah.
I
That's
really
okay.
don't. I really don't. I have very little bandwidth for anything outside of what I'm doing with my kids and with this. And so
well,
I
Craig
pick
also
I pick my TV very carefully.
He also has a very limited cringe meter.
I see.
I do. She's
You know,
right about that.
and you
yeah.
gotta be able to hang in the cringe.
100%.
Totally.
Because most of the time you're watching and you're like,
I can't believe it.
So to give you an example,
Ooh.
everybody in our generation loved the show Seinfeld.
Of course.
you
Why
didn't
did you
know
think
that?
that was
George.
George was the cringe.
George
and
and
Of course.
I love the guy who wrote the show.
Larry David.
Larry
I
David.
love Larry David,
Curb
but
Your
then watching the
Enthusiasm.
show, it's just like I can't stand the.
So you probably
the
can't do
tension.
The Office. The Office
No,
is
The
tough.
Office is funny to me.
But that's
Okay,
so
that is
cringe.
There's cringe.
Michael
There's a lot
Scott
of
is
cringe.
the cringe.
see, he
character
doesn't
in
make me
culture.
cringe like George made me cringe.
Well, that's good writing.
Yeah.
That's just good
Yeah.
character. That's the whole point
Yeah, but
of the
she's right
character.
about the cringe thing. If it's too cringy, you know, I'm a Turner Classic Movie guy.
Yeah,
I gotta
you're
have
TCM.
I gotta have a good ending. It's gotta work out. It's
Yeah, we
gotta
need
be-
catharsis.
Yes,
Positively.
Yeah, I can't walk away being more anxious than I was going in.
You should
That
go.
is
There's a Turner
something.
Classic Movies cruise, I heard.
Yeah, but I hate cruises.
You heard about the cruise.
I'm with you there.
Cancels out.
Yeah.
But I
But I hate cruises.
I've heard about it,
Damn
and
it.
it sounds like it would be wonderful. And they have some of the stars and stuff on there. I would love it.
They
Is
just got to
there-
get it off the boat.
is there
Just
a
get off the
Bravo
boat and do it
cruise?
at a.
I think there might be a Bravo cruise.
Well, there should be. You know, there's BravoCon.
That I know.
I've
Yes,
been.
yes.
It is
wild.
It must be madness.
The people, I mean, it's like the Beatles show up when anyone walks in the room.
Well, the franchises are huge. There are how many? I mean, now they're
Well, now there's new ones that you're about Rhode Island.
Yes.
Rhode
Island
is
starting. I
There's
know.
a Housewives of Rhode Island.
There's gonna be. I heard
we used to live there, so you might
You
maybe
might know
that's the
some
one.
That's a good entry point.
Yeah.
You might
That's
know
a good
some-
entry point.
Honestly, we have a friend who does know a couple people on the cast because I guess it's that small. He
Really?
was like, I went to high school with that girl. I was like, that's so funny.
You
Is
would
she
have
gonna
to.
be good?
It's Rhode Island.
It's Rhode
Yeah, I
Island.
know,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
This segment is brought to you by Indeed. Hey, Mish, how has being organized through your career helped you get your work done?
Oh my gosh. Organization for me has been everything. I think better when I have a clean desk, when I have a clear plate, when things are in order. Clutter doesn't help free my mind.
And when did you learn that? When did you realize that was necessary?
Probably if you think about it, I was kind of always like that.
I do. That's why I asked. Because I remember when we had our desks set up in our room, mine was always a mess with books and papers, and I would just set things down. And no matter what time of day it was, your desk was always organized. Your pencils were in the box. Erasers were in something over here. Papers were, you had your loose leaf paper over here. You had your spiral notebooks over there. And I just remember you always being organized.
Yeah. I think it perhaps was just a personal trait of mine, or it came out of the realization that disorganization slows you down. If I have to spend 30 minutes looking for the pad of paper before I can sit down and be creative, that messes with my process, Yeah. What about you? Because you eventually learned how to become organized, even though
I am still becoming organized because I really didn't need to be organized until I got to college. And when you have, and it was the result of having so much free time because you have way more free time in college than you did in high school.
Which a lot of college students don't understand. They don't take advantage of.
And that's when you need to be organized. And it was at that point, after I had failed the first semester at being a decent student in college, that I had to get organized. And once I realized that and then started to execute that, my whole academic and intellectual experience just changed, and it made everything easier. And I just wish I was able to do it as early as you did.
Yeah. What I try to tell young people is that organizational skills are a muscle. Build that muscle early, practice it, and when you're our age, it becomes second nature.
It sure does. It sure does. But whether being organized is a skill you have or not, Indeed can help connect the skills you have to new opportunities. Indeed's mission is to empower everyone to leverage their skills for better work. When people feel confident in their skills and open to change, the world truly can work better.
Well, I want just to flip the script a little bit, because I am, given who you two are, I am curious to know, what were little Bowen and Matt like? What were you guys like as kids? Because I don't know whether do we have a nerdy kid and a jockey kid? I don't know.
I think that's a pretty decent sort of assessment, refraction of us. But I just remember starting out pretty precocious, and then I think being a boy, you start to rein it in a bit, and you just try to start to fit in. So I was always a nerd, and I feel like I tried to hide it and mask it for a couple of years in middle school, and then I just kind of let it all out in high school.
What about
It's just I can't hold it in any longer.
Exactly.
He did some theater in high school. And I remember when I was in high school, I was all sports all the time. I was a very serious track athlete. I played baseball for several years. I never really got into football. And it's actually interesting. My dad was such a football guy. And years later, I asked him, why didn't you ever throw the football around with me? And he was like, I mean, if I'm honest with you, I didn't think kids really needed to be playing.
Yeah.
And it was
Good
because,
for him.
and then and then years later, now we hear so much about what goes.
Our dad was the same way with him.
Yeah.
He always was we were both sporty kids.
Right.
There just wasn't much for me with the beginning of Title IX.
But she did everything I did.
Yeah.
In our backyard, but there wasn't organized sports.
That's so interesting. I remember one of my formative memories was my dad and I, we didn't have a boys winter track team for whatever reason. And I was so serious about it that we actually got one going. And I just found out it's still going. And I think they even won like league championships. So that was one thing I can look back on and be like, that was like a positive impact. But in high school, all I wanted was to audition for the swing choir and be in the plays. I remember they have no idea what I would give as Conrad Birdie. But I was too closeted. So I remember being a happy kid and I have amazing parents and I grew up on Long Island and I had a very happy day to day and that I was given so much, but there was a pit, I believe, in probably both of our stomachs because being closeted at that time was extremely hard. I remember like, this is when, you know, the FAG slur was being used like on the radio. You know what I mean? Like it's, and so it kind
of. And talk about comedy. I mean, it was at the, you know, that was just common.
Homophobia was comedy at that time.
That was comedy, absolutely.
And so it's kind of like, I think we both know a little bit of what it's like to feel like who I am is something that it's a question of whether I'm going to be embraced for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so anything that could reveal something about who you really are it felt dangerous.
So
yeah.
But I think about constantly, like, would we have been friends when we were little?
I was just thinking about that.
That's what I was thinking.
I think we would have.
Now you're getting into my area of inquiry because I heard that you guys were friends in college, but you weren't friends first.
I mean,
help us understand how you guys got to be close.
Well, college is interesting. I feel like you guys keep up with your college friends, right? Like,
a couple of them.
Yeah,
but you know,
I started out liking them. So,
you know what? It wasn't dislike. I think what it was a situation where I remember the first time I ever saw Bowen. I have this thing where it's bizarre, but the people that end up being meaningful in my life, I remember the first time I saw them. It's weird. Okay. And him, I remember coming around an elevator bank, and we were going to see a comedy show.
I remember the elevator.
And I saw him and he looked back at me and I just remember it was this moment of like, that's a person to me.
Yeah.
And I think maybe because of the self-consciousness at that time, we were 18 years old in college and still both closeted. It's a little nerve-wracking any social interaction at that time. And so we went to go see a comedy show at our school, which was our school's comedy show, our sketch comedy show. And I remember looking up on stage and being like, I think I'll try to do that. And it will make me it will encourage me to take a step towards who I am. And he had already been in the improv group at the school. So there was Danger Box Improv and Bowen was the one gay in that group. And then I got into that
And were you out by then, Bowen?
So I was out in high school and then I was back in the closet right before college through all this like mess. And then, at the time of meeting Matt, I think we were both synced up in our timeline.
We were both newly comfortable saying we were gay. And then we were in these comedy groups in which we were the only person that identified that way. And so their way of sort of, I think maybe breaking ice was like, well, be best friends, do it. Perform for us. And we would often be put in situations where it almost felt like tokenized because we were like sort of like, oh, like these are our gay ones, and not with any malintent on their part, but it just didn't feel like that would be the reason why we'd definitely be best friends until
there was this rationale on a collective level from everyone around us. There was like, you guys would get along great. It's like when your parents like set you up with someone, you're
You're like,
I
did that.
Like it's not gonna be just because you think, but then quickly it was like they were
you
right.
were right.
I think we both were off book on all the same pop music. It was. I remember we'd have like parties after the sketch comedy and improv shows, and we would just tear it up to like Super Bass by Nicki Minaj. We would tear it up to like any Taylor Swift song still to this day. I mean, we speak a very similar language. I feel like the bit that I always say is like, I feel like he's my twin that was born in a different part of the world on a different day.
And Bowen, you grew up in Brisbane.
I was born in Brisbane.
You were born
6 months.
Okay.
Basically, when I was clear to fly, we moved to Ontario, then Montreal, then Colorado, and then Colorado to New York. And I've been in New York since.
So high school was where?
Colorado.
Was Colorado.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Aurora.
Yeah.
But that was a very interesting place to grow up where like it felt like you were just informed by like a very, I don't know, like, again, I keep saying this word, horizontal way of like being with people. It was like great public schools in Colorado, where I'm from at least.
And
just felt like I was given like the latitude to like figure stuff out about myself that then would like make way for like finding out who I really was. And then by the time I got to college, it was like the groundwork had been laid.
What were your parents like, each of you?
Mine are really hardworking, like immigrants who sacrificed everything. And I remember coming to the States for the first time in 1999. And we met with our immigration lawyer and we went through the process of getting our green cards. And it was just, back then it felt like so much bureaucracy.
Yeah.
And they were always people who reminded you in the gentlest way they sacrificed a lot. But they were never like, this is us putting pressure on you. Like they, I think, again, laid it all out for us just in the way that we grew up in Colorado. It was like, here's like an open horizon of what you can do in life. And because they would vocalize things like, well, we know you like to perform, but you know, it's really hard and there's not a lot of stability, and especially if you're Asian and all these things. And I internalized that as a way of saying, oh, that's off limits. Let me go and be pre-med in college. And that's what I did. And so I think there were tacit ways in which they were like trying to encourage me to find myself, but hedging a little bit because they were just trying to be protective.
Well, and also, you know, you love your kids. You want to make sure they can eat.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
And the world is mean and ugly out there. So just in case, just have something in your back pocket.
Totally.
But it's, you know, it's fortunate to have parents. Was it the same way for you, Matt, that you had parents that were kind of encouraging whatever you wanted to do? Or did you feel like there was an expectation?
I think once I became more of an adult and I got to college, I'll never forget. So I started NYU and I was full jock at that time. I was on the track team and I got through a week of it. And I remember realizing I was not, because I had done an amazing, I'm a code switching icon. Like I was prom king in high school, which was a fight because like I am, you know, pretty gay. And so like I was you got to watch the show Overcompensating.
Yeah.
He really taps into just how much drag you do to try to, and that was me.
Yeah.
And so I remember I remember I was in my dorm room and the phone was shaking in my hand because I was going to call my dad and say I was quitting the track team. But don't worry because I'm going to do something else. Yeah. You know, I'm going to try to...
I'm going to go punch a wall.
Yeah, right.
I'm going to eat fire.
See, and my parents are lovely. My dad is like the life of the party. My mom is truly the most joyful, effervescent person. Wow. She is a star. And they've never... on that phone call, we're disappointed. My dad was like, you have to do what's going to make you happy. Like you're 18 years old. Like, you know what I mean? Like you're living in New York City. And so from that point on, and really never did they ever say, well, did you ever think what to do if it didn't work out?
Yeah.
Even throughout my 20s when I was waiting tables 6 days a week, you know, they never were like, hey, maybe the sketch comedy thing should be called into question, 27-year-old man. You know what I mean? Maybe they should have.
Yeah.
But they never did. And that's not to say that I didn't have like, you know, the strife that comes with any like parental child relationship, especially when there's a lot of inner strife and everyone's figuring out how to relate to each other. But in terms of the way that they raised me, I'm the luckiest.
It is amazing how kids put a lot on themselves because they think they know what their parents are thinking. You know, both Craig and I were kind of like that because we came from working class background and we made a lot of choices assuming that our parents couldn't afford something or would say no to something. I remember,
or we didn't want to disappoint them, of course, because they're such wonderful people, of course. And I cut you off, but I wanted to get back to your parents. when you came out to them, what was their reaction, and how did they sort of help you through that or not help you through it? Because they sound like wonderful people.
We're sitting here, and it's like a lot of this conversation is reminding me how different we are.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like we have such a energetic connection and like peas in the pod, but we have such different backgrounds and lives.
Like, I love that.
Yeah.
But anyway, sorry.
Well, so I came out. Well, I didn't even come out in high school, but in high school, there were revelations, and so then my parents sat me down. They were like, where we come from. In mainland China, like this doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is a problem to us, and we are sort of oriented as problem solvers. So we're going to figure out how to solve this. Yeah. And then, they found some therapists basically. And so that we would drive down. There was this ultimatum that I could go to school at NYU where my sister was, and that she would sort of watch over me, or I could stay with them. And I was like, I'd rather go to NYU. And then little did they know, it's the gayest school in the country. But the ultimatum was like, I would I would go with my dad to these conversion therapy sessions over the summer before I started college. And you know what? Like, you're on this fault line in your life, and you go, good a time as any.
Maybe they know something I don't.
Right. Truly.
Right.
I was.
You trust your parents.
Yeah,
and
why wouldn't you?
that they're not trying to hurt you. They're trying to figure it out.
Of course.
Yeah.
And I'm this like 17-year-old kid who had never seen his dad cry before, but he was coming home every day from school to his parents sobbing over dinner every night. And I was like, I have to do something. I have to like acquiesce in this way in order to like keep the family together.
Because to not disappoint.
To not disappoint. To not
or protect them from their own emotions.
Truly.
Right.
And by the way, like, we can just fast forward to now where like, there was just this moment back in the closet, and then it was meeting people like Matt that sort of brought me out of it. And then it was a lot of tumult in terms of like trying to come on like common ground with them. And then it took many years. But like now it's, it gives me a lot of hope, and it gives me this model for how to like really let things ferment over time, and not all hope is lost with these things. Like I never expected to be in this place with them now where they're asking about my personal life. They're truly genuinely curious. They're proud. Like last year at the Culture Awards,
they came.
We were dressed in like sequin chaps and like a cowboy hat.
Second two most wanted by Beyonce and Miley. But couldn't have been gayer.
Couldn't be gayer. And then I turn around and like full cheek showing, and then apparently my mom was like cheering, clapping in the audience, and I'm like, I still don't even totally believe that image, because I'm like, that does not square with the sort of internalized sort of thing that I have with them from childhood, from being a teenager. And now it's just like, look at all this.
Well, this is what you want to tell young kids, when they feel hopeless over any issue, right? Life is long, and the trajectory is unpredictable. And sometimes you just want to, allow it to breathe a little bit before you decide that life isn't worth living, or that nothing will change. Because people, if you give folks grace, sometimes it comes back in return.
I think there was a mutual exchange of that grace between me and my parents.
That's beautiful. That really is.
Thank you. That's me.
And you're going to visit extended family. You're taking.
I am.
A special trip.
Yes, I'm taking a special trip.
To the consulate first.
To the consulate. I have to go to the consulate first. Get my visa.
It's like,
but yeah.
We want to make sure you get back.
I want to make sure I get back. Well, yeah. I'm excited. I haven't been back in like 9 years.
Wow.
And
so this isn't your first trip?
We would go all the time growing up. And then once college started, it was a little less frequent, because everyone had busier lives as we were growing older. And it's important that I go back. And it's funny, like a lot of my extended family, it's just my parents and my sister and I in the States. Everyone else is back in China.
Okay.
And but I'll have aunts and uncles and cousins be like, oh my gosh, we saw this thing that Bowen did and it made its way here, which is great, which is amazing. Then it makes me go, well, I never came out to them. And clearly, like, I've done enough things. My hit rate in terms of like stuff that I put out is like clearly telegraphs that like I am who I am. And so I'm working with this tutor now to like just refresh my Mandarin, but also to give me the literal vocabulary to have conversations with them where I'm like, so this is who I am. This is what my life is like. This is my job. This is my personal life.
Vocabulary.
The actual vocabulary.
Yes.
Wow.
Like I am a gay man. SNL is a live show on Saturdays. These are the things about me that I have to like learn in terms of the vocabulary to communicate these things.
Have your parents had those conversations with their relatives back home, or they?
I think they want to leave it up to me. Which I appreciate actually. Yeah.
When's the trip going to happen?
It's going to be about a month and a half.
All right, where I am going to send so much. All right, we're going to send so much energy your way. It's going to be great.
I receive it.
And if it's not, just come on back.
Exactly.
This episode of IMO is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Financial security isn't just about the here and now. It's about the future. That's why we love what Progressive is doing to help people attain, maintain, and build wealth through home ownership. For over 80 years, Progressive has led with the belief that insurance should do more than just protect. It should propel people forward. Their commitment to not only helping more first-generation homeowners stay protected, but also support communities through Progressive's down payment assistance program, the Up Payment Program, which will help drive real impact, making the dream of home ownership more attainable for everyone. You know, my wife Kelly and I are currently in the process of redoing our bathroom. We just started out and haven't done the demolition yet, but we know that this will add to the value of our house. So thank you, Progressive, for helping families plan ahead and for sponsoring our show. Visit progressive.com/openthehouse to learn more. This back-to-school season, spend less on your kids with Amazon. I remember when my wife Kelly and I would be running around to a million different stores, chasing down spiral notebooks, lunchboxes, and that one specific calculator that somehow every math teacher requires. And look, I love my kids, but I do not love fighting over the last pack of highlighters in a crowded store at 7 p.m. on a Tuesday. That's why I love Amazon. Amazon has everything for back to school: backpacks, pencils, clothes, snacks, and even those dry erase markers the teachers secretly hoard. All delivered fast, right to my doorstep. One click, no stress, boom. And the best part, I can shop from my couch. With my now 15-year-old and 13-year-old, I grab their school supply list and I'm all set. Now, instead of running around town stressed out, I get to actually spend the last days of summer with my kids. We're doing movie nights, bike rides, and even, dare I say, back-to-school fashion shows in the living room. Parents, do yourself a favor. Go to Amazon. Get your back-to-school checklist done in like 5 minutes while saving a few bucks. So remember, with Amazon's low back-to-school prices, just spend less on your kids, because every dollar you don't spend on them is a dollar you haven't spent on them. This episode of IMO is brought to you by Cologuard, a non-invasive colon cancer screening test. As it stands, colon cancer is on the rise in people under 50, which is why the American Cancer Society recommends that if you're at average risk, you begin screening at 45. Even if you live a healthy lifestyle and don't have symptoms, no one is at low risk for colon cancer. We want to make sure our listeners know that colon cancer can be treatable in 9 out of 10 people. But the key here is that it has to be caught early. With the Cologuard test, you can take control of your colon cancer screening through a prescription-based test with none of the prep that's required of a colonoscopy. Not only is the Cologuard test effective for colon cancer screening, but it can even detect precancer. And in addition to its convenience, the Cologuard test is also affordable. Most insured patients find they pay nothing out of pocket, with zero downtime, no special preparation, and a screening test that's delivered right to your door. Don't let your health take a back seat. So if you're 45 or older and at average risk, ask your healthcare provider about screening for colon cancer with the Cologuard test. You can also request a Cologuard prescription today at Cologuard.com/podcast. The Cologuard test is intended to screen adults 45 and older at average risk for colorectal cancer. Do not use a Cologuard test if you have adenomas, have inflammatory bowel disease and certain hereditary syndromes, or a personal or family history of colorectal cancer. The Cologuard test is not a replacement for colonoscopy in high-risk patients. Cologuard test performance in adults ages 45 to 49 is estimated based on a large clinical study of patients 50 and older. False positives and false negatives can occur. Cologuard is available by prescription only. So my sister is always talking about I need a sort of culture boost because I'm not cool, right?
Yeah.
I have kids.
You were so cool, by the way.
I have kids, but
He's
I'm
all
not
right.
cool. And so I would like to know, since you started your podcast, what are some of the changes in culture you've seen, both positive and negative?
Ooh,
Wow.
Great question. I think there's this debate that keeps going on, and I don't even know what the answer is or what the right side is, but like, is there still a monoculture or is it completely fragmented?
Mm-hmm.
Is no one watching the same thing? What does that do to us? I think people still are watching the same things. There's just a bajillion options, and that's what makes it feel so disjointed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a few stories like that you can really look at since we started the podcast in March of 2016, just to note that. And so in those years since, it's like you've really seen some wild narratives. And it's kind of like, I always boil it down to like, there's streaming.
Mm-hmm.
The way that movies and TV have sort of collapsed
Yeah.
has been really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, so when people are like, why'd they split it up into two movies? It's like, because they can and they should. Because it's going to save the film industry.
Exactly.
Like, you know what I mean? If you have something like that that's a unicorn,
you
gotta...
You gotta chop up that
brush
unicorn.
that unicorn's tail.
Right.
Grill it.
Yeah.
But I just wish that the effort was some more of the trying was a bit more experimental.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I just feel like the industry is a little bit too precious with IP.
100%.
And it's like, I think one thing that will get people out are just new concepts.
Yeah.
Sinners just popping off.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. You do get those moments where we're proven right. That we want to see original stuff. But the industry, the suits have to kind of believe it. It's like, guess what? Like, you don't have to spend $150 million. People just want to see some good new content, a different way of seeing the world, a different way of approaching film. Yeah. And I sat next to a film executive at a dinner and had a full-blown argument about this. Same thing, you know. It's like, there is room. People will go see a wonderful $30 million film. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
We've seen it. Honora, this Oscars, absolutely. We saw it all. But for some reason, they're risk averse to try this new thing. And it's like, don't be so risk averse because this is a cheaper way.
Totally.
You know? It's like you have less to lose instead of putting all your eggs in this $100, $200 million film.
Yeah.
It seems riskier.
Yeah. And also, I was watching, have you watched The Studio?
Yeah.
So this is great. It's a great show with Seth Rogen.
It's Seth Rogen.
And
he has Seth on. Seth with his wife. You've got to watch The Studio.
So this is a great show. And I remember like one of the things that they were talking about is the fact that like a cut of a movie was coming in at 2 hours, 45 minutes or something, and it was cutting down the show times. And I'm like, okay, so isn't this a no-brainer?
Yeah.
If you make shorter movies, which everyone is craving, and you want the money, add the showtimes.
Just
make the movies a little shorter.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So that's one thing I can't.
Yeah.
Because it feels like all the superhero movies are also 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Right.
And I'm like, what is the logic here?
Yeah. What's the appeal?
Well, we've got two best friends on this show, and we've got a question about friendship and finding people. And before we get into it, one of the things I did want to ask, because I find this in our friend groups, do you guys have the same friend group? Do you have separate friend groups? And if so, do your groups merge?
I think the Venn diagram is a circle for our friend groups.
And it makes me so happy
I know.
when he makes a new friend and then because it's kind of like when any good friend of yours is a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then this likewise, like I recently, I have two very close friends. One of them is actually my ex-boyfriend, who's now my best friend. And Bowen takes him as his date to things now, and it makes me so happy.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jared.
Hey,
Jared. He's really thrilled. But yeah, that's like a really nice, happy thing, and that's also how you know,
they're your people.
They're your people.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you guys debunked No New Friends recently on this podcast because I never told. Because
that came from this one.
And for the longest time, that was a culture shifting, Craig. You have to take some credit for that because people are saying that still.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good.
Have you heard that Tinashe song, No Broke Boys?
Yes.
No broke boys, no new friends. Yeah, anyway. I can't believe to sing that in front of you.
Right?
Tinashe, you're on the bird notice.
I'm just glad we know the same song.
We don't need a culture catch up. You're good. No way. But I don't think it's No New Friends. I think it's we just have to be a little bit more, I don't know, we just have to put our feelers out a little bit more selectively, or not even selectively. It's
just about time. It's about how you choose to spend your time.
Yeah.
I think you said something one time that I tried to adopt, which is if I'm going on a date with you, it's a big deal. You know what I mean?
Just in terms of my time.
Because you don't have a lot of time.
Yes.
And also, time is precious. You realize even more and more, people get busy and stuff like that. So that is, it's a kind of expression of love. I'm giving this time to you. And so when you invite someone in to that, that's real care. And that's what, that's intense.
Yeah.
That's an expenditure.
Time in your life with someone.
Well, in order to get there, where you even have the option of defining your time, you've got to build your people. You got to find your people. And I think our listener this week has a question about how to do that. And I think this is a good group that can help break it down.
And we didn't plan this, but it's Alicia from Brisbane.
Wow. I love it. Brizzy.
How about that?
Fellow Brizzy.
How about that?
It just shows we've got listeners all over the world.
Pretty cool.
Wow. Let's hear the question.
Dear Michelle and Craig, I'm about to turn 30 and I'm not handling it as gracefully as I'd hoped. I'm not where I thought I'd be in life, and I feel like I'm starting this new chapter from scratch. I've been through a lot, reconciling with generational trauma and navigating hardships that, while painful, have shaped me into someone that I'm really proud of. These lessons have been meaningful, but most of them I've had to learn on my own and through a lot of trial and error. For many years, my picker was off in both friendships and relationships, and I had to learn the hard way about how I deserve to be treated and how to choose people who are healthy, safe, and real. I've picked up a few beautiful friendships along the way, but I've also made a lot of painful decisions in the process. Recently, I went through a big breakup with someone that I deeply loved and cared for, and now I find myself feeling lonely and without a strong sense of community. The friends that I'd hoped would support me, people who I've poured a lot into, have been caught up in their own lives, even though I've shared how much I've been struggling. This has left me doubting my own self-worth and if I've actually found my tribe. So my question is, how should I navigate these friendships, and how do I begin a new chapter in life, building identity and community without letting past failures and unhealthy beliefs get in the way?
Alicia, 30. She's your age. You guys are babies, first of all. That's the one thing you have to remember. I had to, it's like you guys are so young.
We are squarely in our middle age.
Oh,
we are.
No, don't do that, please. I mean, but we were talking about this question, and I just remember approaching 30 is tough because it feels like, I guess any 20, 30, 40, 50.
One of the milestones,
Yeah.
And
60.
Yeah. Come on. But one thing is, I do feel like it does, and people say this, like it does get better as you get older because because it's like, we were saying, it's like when you're in high school, they're like, these 4 years are going to be 4 years you remember. And then you get to college and it's like, I don't remember high school. And then you're in college and you're like, these are the formative years. Because when you're growing up, you think, oh, college, they're adults. Then you're in your 20s and you're like, college wasn't shit. You know what I mean?
That's so right.
And then you get, so what I would say to someone approaching 30 is it's like your book. It's like you're still becoming. You're always going to, it's not about thinking, oh, I've reached 30. Because I was like this. I was approaching 30 and I thought that I had failed. You know what I mean? Even as things were getting better.
Yeah.
And I also think sometimes it's the compare despair. You know what I mean?
That's right.
I happen to be best friends with someone who is, like I think one of the defining comedy stars of my generation. And that can be hard even as someone who is successful because sometimes it's like you think to yourself like it's never gonna be enough.
Yeah.
But then you take that checkpoint off and you realize everything's not so bad. Not to say that this person isn't experiencing what they're experiencing. But it's about framing it, not like I haven't done it. It's just I haven't done it yet. Or maybe I don't even know what it is that I am meant to do. It's just it's like a gratitude in the present, I think.
Also, I've had about 7 personality transplants in my life. Like it's something about like 30. It's like you're going through like the 4th version of yourself or something. I'm just throwing numbers out there, but like it's what I will say is Alicia seems to be hitting this wall with like her friends that she seems to have confided in, and she doesn't seem to be feeling that in return or doesn't feel that support. And I would say like that is probably a great sort of sign. It's like, well, then that's all the information you need, right? It's like, well, then don't like put your shields up. Like don't like pull back, but just know that you can't pour so much of yourself into these specific people.
Yeah.
That's interesting. You guys came at it from that way. I've been thinking about this. And I'm thinking about it as a former athlete and a coach and a father. And as I've gotten older, the one thing that I wish I had done when I was younger was enjoy the process more than the results.
Absolutely.
And if I would say anything to Alicia, it would be, hey, enjoy your process of your change, of what's going on. And it will make you a more fulfilled person. And you are going to be more attractive and you're going to feel a self-worth and you're going to feel good about yourself. And that's going to make people be drawn to you.
Totally.
And my mom would say, why would you care if people want to be drawn to you? But you do because you want some friends and you want to be in relationships. And I just think that I didn't start enjoying the process until I was well past my 30s. I was like grown and with kids where I was like, this is what I'm supposed to be enjoying, not what I'm aiming for. I'll get what I get.
Sure.
But this process, I got to enjoy the birthday parties and I got to enjoy you have to enjoy the vacations and things like that. So that's how I came at it.
Well, one thing I always want young people when I talk to them to avoid is being so afraid of failing and living life that they don't even try. And when I think about my girls, in this no new friends concept and trying to contradict that, it's like you can't live life afraid of making friends because something could go wrong. That makes life not worth living. It's just, you can't live in the fear of somebody hurting you because you lose out on all the possibilities of wonderful people. You shut yourself off and you don't let anybody in. I would want Alicia to understand that. You have to practice making friends, which means you're going to have to make some mistakes because guess what? Having friends, having people is worth the risk.
Yes.
It is way worth the risk. I would take $1 million, you hurt my feelings, you disappointed me, to find the one gem that you will find if you keep really building and knowing yourself.
Yeah.
Those gems of friendships, to me, it's worth the hurt and disappointment. People will hurt and disappoint you. Your own family will hurt and disappoint you. There are times when you two hurt and disappointed each other.
Definitely.
That's a part of the process. But isn't it worth that risk? Whenever you guys had your riff, whatever it was.
Yeah. I mean, there was a time we didn't speak for 6 months. And still did the podcast. It's hard.
And
there are things that.
But imagine if you walked away.
Oh,
from
that's the thing is you have to decide what's worth fighting for. So it sounds like this person has also gone through a pretty brutal breakup.
Mm-hmm.
And I get that. I mean, like I had something once that knocked me down for like a couple of years. And it didn't seem like it made sense in terms of like how long the relationship had been, how significant it was to other people in my life. But I think we're always stronger as a result of we've had some pretty large fights. And like I do think
fun. Like I've never shouted louder in a way that I'm terrible.
I can't believe my voice can do that.
Can I say? There's no one better that I would shout at than you.
No, because I can go toe to toe. Like it's bad. It's like a feral.
We have one blowout every like 2 years. So that's
I don't look forward to them.
Me
It's
neither.
like I hate it. In fact, it usually is within the same conversation that we're then crying. Like, why did you do this? Like, so it's just, but like that is a part of dynamics between human beings.
Yeah, I mean, something you two have talked about is like unlearning, and 30 is about that age where you unlearn like this effort result dichotomy that like either our parents have taught us or like society has internalized in us. Like, oh, if I do this thing, if I put in this amount of effort, then I should expect this result. And so maybe Alicia feels disappointed that she's put in effort in her relationships, in her friendships, and the result she's gotten back is not the one that she wanted. But maybe it's reframing it in terms of those results just being part of the larger, longer effort.
Yeah.
The effort is just like, oh, I tried my hand at this loving relationship that did not end well. It not ending well is not the result necessarily.
That's right.
It's couched in the effort.
Clock how people make you feel on an instinct level. Like when I'm around Bowen, he makes me feel smart. He makes me feel funny. He makes me feel like a powerful part of something, like a valuable part of something. And it's always been like that. When I think about the way that, for example, one of my exes made me feel, it was anxious. It was, et cetera. It's like, and then I think of some friends, like that go through seasons, at this point.
That's right.
Maybe there's someone in my life who's making me feel nervous. Or who's making me feel, maybe there's some friend in your life that's making you feel a little hornier lately. You know what I mean? It's like clock the way that people are making you feel.
I like that.
We're having a conversation.
Tell us more. Let's delve into that cringe.
We're so happy you guys are coming on. But you tell yourself a lot. And you. And so when you're around someone and they make you feel a certain way, listen to that.
And that's also probably what Alicia is struggling with, because when you're turning 30, you're just beginning to know you.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I mean, like you both have said, it's a long journey of self-discovery, right? And so she may feel a little more uncertain about making mistakes, and maybe it's me and I don't trust my picking meter. And it's like, at 30, you're still learning your picking meter. There is no right or wrong way, and you don't develop wisdom any faster. You don't have wisdom at 30.
No.
It's just like, I try to tell, I had a friend who's dating a younger person and he claimed that she's wise and she's 30. And I'm like, she's not. There's a certain amount of knowledge that you have. I'm not saying that people aren't smart.
Right.
But wisdom is accumulated over time. There's no shortcut to it, because you have to have experiences and successes and failures, and you have to look over yourself over a period of time to say, what did I learn about me?
Yeah.
And I don't want Alicia to start questioning herself at 30. It's like your picker's not off. You didn't have the result you wanted a couple of times, and those experiences are going to help you define who you are. You'll know now what you like in friendships, what's missing. What do seasons look like for you? All of that comes with time. So by the time you're 40, you'll have more discernment because you'll know yourself a little bit more. So some of this, I just want Alicia to be patient with herself, stay in the game.
Yeah.
Don't back away. Don't be afraid of people and friendships or hurt, because that's just part of it. And there's something really beautiful on the other side of that hurt. If you just keep, because you will heal from it.
Yes.
Even
always.
The worst fights that you have, we've had bad fights. You get over it. You move on. You learn from it.
We have not
you grow.
had any bad fights.
Well, no, we don't tend to fight.
Is it brother and sister? I mean, sometimes it's like maybe they're not event ties.
Because he doesn't fight.
Right.
I don't fight. But our biggest fight was
I remember the big fight. I read about the big fight. Yes.
You remember the big fight?
I remember the big fight.
Remember the big fight?
And the fight felt legitimate, by the way. It felt legitimate. It was I think it was right after your father passed away.
Yeah. And I don't remember it. I don't remember it.
You do.
I remember it. Yeah. But it was a hurt fight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
we were just hurt.
I'm thinking about our big fights too. It was always interior. Like he was feeling depressed from being like run down in many different ways. And I had just gone through a breakup, and we collided in this. It was insane. It was so stupid. I had gone to a Chapel Roan concert. This is before Chapel Roan was huge. And I was like, you gotta listen to Chapel Roan. And he was ignoring me and posted an Instagram story. And so I was like, you're ignoring me. And he was like, I'm depressed.
And I shouted the words in my trailer while we were shooting Wicked. I go, I don't have to respond to you when you tell me about Chapel Roan.
He didn't even know who she was.
I did not know who she was.
He would have responded.
It's like, maybe I'm wrong about
that.
I take it back.
He has taken it back.
Yeah.
So you guys sound like my two, Austin and Aaron. You sound like how brothers fight.
And we're brothers. We're brotherly that way.
What it is.
You
guys are brothers.
We have our sensitivities. I'm really sensitive to being ignored.
Yeah.
So like when I feel like I'm being ignored, that sets me off. And I'm sure you have a your thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Like it's just, but and it's like, because it is like family, that's what I mean is it's like, sometimes it's not like, it doesn't always feel like, it was a big fight because this crazy thing happened. It was you didn't text me back about Chapel Roan and posted a photo with Ariana Madix at an event. Literally.
It's like,
I think I was a little jealous.
Evil person.
You evil person. It's like how when you're with family, like you can crap your pants and it's okay. You know,
right.
like they'll take you home. They'll fix you up.
And now it's only fun.
And that's what Alicia has to learn, right? Yeah. Because the thing you learn about yourself at 35, 36, 37 is that you have that sensitivity. It takes you a minute of practice to say, okay, that yelling wasn't about him, it was about me. And that's like a mid-30s to end of the 30s realization, right? I mean, it takes you a second to start really owning your own stuff.
Yeah.
Right? So maybe some of these fights that Alicia had were her fault. Maybe she does need to take a step back and maybe she did something wrong.
Accountability. We just talked about that.
Accountability. And the older I get, the more accountable I become, because I know when it's my fault now, really, and I can't pretend like it was you hurt me. And it's like, no, I was feeling hurt. I'm depressed right now. I took that out. We had that argument because I took something out on you. And it takes years and years of practice of connecting with people that you love and care about before you understand who's in the right, who's in the wrong, what was your part. It takes time.
Yeah.
So I want young people to have the patience to hang in there with a bunch of things, with friendships, with relationships, with careers. It is not the TikTok instantaneous, feedback
which is
we're now
a factor
used to.
Because I do think that the way that attention spans, like, oh, this person isn't getting it right away, I'm going to move on, because I do think that bleeds in from the way the stimulus
That's
affects
so great,
us.
Matt, because it makes me think about, people get stuck in the way they made friends when they were a teenager.
Yeah.
And my sister is good at making is discerning her new friendships better than I am. And that's I want you to share some of your advice for Alicia. She's sort of coming out of her 20s and going into her 30s. How should she go about making new friends here?
Making new friends is a risky proposition. So it's not comfortable, right? You have to become uncomfortable, because sometimes you have to step out of yourself and go and meet somebody, right? It's a risk. You have to put yourself out, right? And we're living in a culture where nobody has to put themselves out. Everybody's getting accustomed to living a life on a phone, very internal. COVID just exacerbated that. So what I would tell Alicia is that making friends requires you to take a risk, and it requires you to be engaged in the world. So you are not going to make new friends sitting on your phone, in your computer, in your house. No one's gonna knock on your door. Tinder isn't we don't have friendship Tinder.
No, we
right?
don't.
People, and it's funny you bring that up, because I really do feel like, so we had the podcast from 2016 on, and then 2020 happened and it was COVID. And after that, something did change with our listener community. They reached out and they were saying how lonely they were and what a comfort it was. And then you start to see them connect because they have the same interest, which maybe is the podcast or things that we talk about. And I think that ultimately that is what we are most proud of. Is the fact that
100%.
It is something that brings people together that we created. And
that's what the awards are.
Yeah. I mean, we look out and we've done the awards for a few years, and sometimes I do go online and I'll look at our Reddit page and they'll be making plans to meet up. Loneliness may be a unifier. There may be something from that we can take power in. Just expressing, I'm solo right now. I'm flying solo to this thing. Would anyone want to link up? You know what I mean?
And usually you will not be disappointed.
No.
Right? For Alicia, it's worth the risk. So, I'd say, take a chance, be bold, don't lean back from this experience. Don't let these hurts make you small in terms of your desire to be a part of a group. But it will take work. It does take effort. It is not instantaneous.
Sure.
It requires a plan, and it requires you executing against the plan. And you're going to get hurt, and it's okay. You will heal from it, and you will grow from it, and it'll be all right.
And you're in Brisbane, so go to the koala sanctuary.
Okay.
And make friends there.
All right. Bowen with some real...
Just don't touch them.
Just don't touch them.
I've held koalas. I have had the pleasure.
Is that the best animal you've ever held?
No, I'm wrong. It wasn't koalas. It was pandas. Never mind.
Even better.
That's even...
Oh, I'm sorry.
But
it's something to see.
We should get some real takeaways
all right,
for Alicia before we go.
We digress.
We digress for a second.
Try a safari.
Yeah.
That's a way to make friends.
This would be huge for you.
Yeah.
I was going to start with your just be open. It's hard, but be open and honest and vulnerable. Okay.
Yeah.
And any takeaways you guys want to give to Alicia?
Summations.
I think Craig and I are on the same level, which is the process, which is...
I like that.
As it ties to mine, it's the result is part of the effort. And it is just being put into this larger Russian nesting doll of effort. The result will be good in the end.
Yeah. You're not doing it wrong because there's no doing it right.
I like that as well. There's no one way to live a life. And it's, you're not getting it wrong. You're not making mistakes. I like that point.
And I would just say, Alicia, please cut yourself some slack. You're only 30, girl.
Yeah,
you got
your
a lot of
cortisol
time.
sounds high.
Yeah, really.
regroup and relax and enjoy being in Brisbane. So
yeah,
you guys, this has been terrific, and thank you so much.
In love with you,
love you guys,
really, truly, and I'm tuning into the Culture Awards.
You gotta.
Yes.
What it's when does it air?
August 5th on Bravo, the next day on Peacock.
Okay,
Yes.
yes,
It's gonna be
the Bravo Peacock dance.
Alliance.
I know it.
It's gonna be wild. Every day we've been in the writers' room every day and like actively putting it together. And
Is
we're
it how long of a special? How long of a
2 hours?
2
Oh,
hours,
wow.
and you've got musical guests.
We got
all of
Musical
it?
guests, presenters.
Any surprise? Anything? We
I
drop
don't
some
think
tea
anything we
here?
can say yet. We'll be there.
What?
Okay, all right, yeah, good enough.
That's enough. That's enough for
Good
us.
enough. Good enough. Where do you film?
It's
where
going to
do you
be in
do-
LA
It's gonna be
at
in
the
LA.
Orpheum
Okay.
Theater
All right.
on July 17th. We're
Yeah.
filming it. And it's a blast. It's a
Yeah,
the live
it
event is
sounds
going
like
to be
it.
really fun.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be tuning in.
Yay.
Maybe next year I can, make a sneak appearance.
Listen,
Because it's
let's just
my-
say open
my
invitation
people.
for you both. Let's just put that out there.
That's our extension. That's
That's
us making fun.
Well, Bowen and Matt, it has been a pleasure. You guys are funny and smart
And sweet.
Yeah.
So nice.
Yeah.
Well, likewise. I'm
Likewise.
sure.
Yeah, thank you for sharing all your wisdom with our IMO listeners. And, any tips you can give us, because we want to be where you are in a decade.
Down the
So,
axis.
yeah, down the axis.
Down the axis.
That's right.
Put
That's
those
right.
strawberries in the raisin
Oh,
bran.
right.
Oh, yes, sir.
Let me tell you.
I'm trying
When
that
you're
tomorrow
making
morning.
cereal.
There's no right way to make breakfast,
That's right.
Alicia,
That's-
either.
You guys, thanks so much.
So much.